the hell that I was in, I'd do anything to be better.
I thought like a lunatic.
You gotta just have like that little bit of hope that it will get better.
You're gonna make it.
This began my surrender.
I am a witness of my own growth.
It's a life beyond your wildest dreams, and I just have to say, it works if you work it.
My story, that's what I share.
You're listening to Far From Finished, a weekly podcast where we share new, real-life stories of hope and triumph, told by the people who live them. Today's story comes to us from...
Hi, my name's Kevin Williams. I've been in recovery for 9 months. I am 40 years old. I got a lot of kids, and I come from a excuse me, family with a strong addiction background, and I actually I work in recovery now. Never thought I'd do that, but that's what I'm doing now, and things are kind of looking up. In addiction was a living hell. I mean, I kind of picture it as just chasing my tail as fast as I could and not going anywhere. I think I remember waking up in the morning and saying, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to use today, and having every intention of not drinking or using that day. And by 11 o'clock, I had a drink in my hand or was using some substance that I shouldn't be. So, in addiction, it was really, really crazy. It's. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, and I looked at it. The thought of being sober was a very scary thought, and it kind of changed your outlook on becoming sober, because your fear of not having those things to push back all your feelings and things of that nature really kind of got to you. So but yeah, it was definitely hell. It was hell. I had taken my kids to Lake Tahoe. My family has a beautiful home up there, and it's a vacation home, and we were up there, and I basically, as soon as I got there, I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get away from the kids. I'd been in the car with them for 3 days. It was, I was just at my wit's end, and I left. And I was going to go to the grocery store, and I ended up at the casino, and woke up the next morning at like 11 o'clock in my car, with phone call after phone call missed from my family looking for me. And, I went home and, with my tail between my legs, and, I had figured out that I really needed some type of help. And, I vowed at that time not to drink. And then what I really had to do was not drink and drive. A couple days later, I'm hanging out with my kids at the house, and I start drinking, and one of my twins, he's 8, looked at me and he said, Daddy, please don't be drunk. And when he said that to me, it absolutely crushed me. And I remember sitting there thinking, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do this again. And that was the beginning of the end there. And prior to that, I remember just being in an alcoholic rage, and nobody to blame, nobody to, I was beating the walls to death, and my wife was running around after me, and I remember. I wanted to die, and I don't think my wife really understood. She didn't really get it, and I remember getting a gun and looking at her and I put it to my head, and I wanted to die. I wanted to pull the trigger so bad, and that's that was just prior to going into treatment, and you know, the look of fear in her face and eyes it will be etched in my memory forever, and I'll never ever want to do something like that to somebody I love again. And the thing about it is it wasn't that I wanted to do it to her. I wanted to do it to me, and you know, getting the opportunity to figure those things out is it's kind of changed the way I look at a lot of things. So, well, you know, here's the thing: is that you know, I didn't have any idea what treatment was about. I had never been to treatment. You know, I had never really even thought about going to treatment, and so it was really unknown. It was completely, you know, I had no idea what to expect. All I knew is that I needed help, and I was willing to accept help at the time. And you know, I remember talking to the counselors on the phone, and you know, I'm like, well, there's a place right here in my town. I want to go there, and they're like, no, we're going to send you to Las Vegas. And I'm like, is this a cruel joke? You know, you're going to send me to Las Vegas? Yeah. And so, you know, I finally just said, okay, you know, I just got to do this. And, you know, I'm thinking 30 days is as long as I've ever been away from my kids. And, you know, for their benefit, not only my benefit, but for the benefit of them, it was the best choice that I could have made. And, you know, I remember flying there and landing and going in, and you know, I remember I know the girl was scared that I wasn't going to show up, and I think they have quite a few people that do. But I remember the look of relief on her face when I walked up. They were calling my name over the pager. I guess I was taking my time getting down there, going to shops and stuff, and I remember the look of relief on her face when I walked up and and said, okay, let's go do this. And they took me in. I mean, it was the experience going in was a not what I expected at all. You know, it was welcoming. It was open. It was meeting me where I was and going from there. And you know, that was probably the best thing that best way they could have done it. And the thing about it is it wasn't just me there. It was a lot of people there, and there were a lot of people in a lot of different conditions than I was. And you know, I found myself lucky to be where I was at in comparison. But at the same time, I don't know that there's a huge difference in where I was to where somebody else was. You know, we're both going the same road, and it was both leading. Both of us were going the same place, and it was going nowhere. And so it was a welcome experience to start, and I had no idea what to expect or what was going to happen. I just knew I was willing to do it, and the avenue that I got to do it was really a blessing. You know, here's the thing: is that as addicts or as alcoholics, we really are wired differently than normal people. We think differently, and learning that and acknowledging and accepting that is what allowed me to begin the recovery process, and actually accepting the fact that, you know, maybe I was a little different than other people, or maybe I did think differently than other people, and it wasn't my fault. You know, that we're really wired this way. And so the way I dealt with things prior to going into recovery, you know, I was very rageful, and you know, I mean, nobody knew what type of reaction they would get out of me, or how I would react to any circumstance. So my family was in fear, and you know, and when I say fear, I mean fear. Like, they wouldn't say anything. And now, you know, I have the ability to communicate effectively with the people that I care about to get my point across without having to just completely blow a gasket. And it's open lines of communication with my wife. It's open lines of communication with my kids. My kids are completely safe talking to me about anything, and it's that's been the biggest blessing of it all. It's changed. Everything about my life has changed. I was a sales guy, and I traveled a lot. I was the entertainment committee basically, so drinking was part of my job. And now I find myself I'm actually working in recovery, and it's one of the most fulfilling things I could ever do, and it has nothing to do with financial gains or anything like that. It fills my cup every day that I get to go in and work with somebody that has the same problems that I do, that is looking for an answer, or that I can help with an answer. And doing that for a career, I never thought, if you'd asked me that a year ago, I'd have been, you're nuts, right? I have no intention of that. I'm going to be a successful sales guy, top tier, I'm doing what I do, and I'm going to make a shit ton of money. And now it's not even about that. It's about what it takes to stay sober and to continue on this road that I've started, not only for myself but for my family, a lot. Because in addiction, we really don't realize how much we take and how much it affects those around us. The reality of it, and the reality of the pain that we cause those around us is kind of a trap in a way, because dealing with those feelings doesn't make you want to stay sober, but getting past that and moving on with your life and having a solution is, it's definitely changed my existence on this world, and changed the way that I go about my life. It's good being able to live openly and honestly, and not worry about hiding things or the shady types of behavior that I did in addiction. So generally, if you think that there's a problem, there is. And, my biggest advice would be, if you go in with an open mind, it really will allow you to kind of embrace the change that can happen, and recognize that maybe you are addicted, in addiction, alcoholic, whatever. If you go in with an open mind, it changes everything. It changes the way you treat people. It changes the way people treat you. And it really allows you to grow and progress in recovery a lot quicker than it does holding on to a lot of the stuff that you carry in there. So open mind, open heart, for sure. Going in there, it's you see a lot of people that are not very open to change, and my observation, the people that are open are the people that really, really progress and change their lives for the better.